So I asked Bram the question of how it was for him in Los Angeles, being probably a pretty saturated industry, especially when you're doing the type of shooting that you're doing. So how did you as a freelancer stand out and kind of make it for yourself in Los Angeles, which was maybe the most saturated industry in the world?
It definitely is, probably second only to New York in terms of photographers per square. I don't even think it's per square mile. It's almost like per square block, because it's just at any given moment I can walk out on my street and I might see 2 or 3 photo shoots happening. Granted, there's small shoots and it's not a ton of stuff happening, but you drive through the city and you just see constant video, film, commercial, all that kind of stuff happening. So how to stand out? That is a great question. And if there was a formula to it, and I'm going to say if there was a simple formula to it, if there was a complicated formula to it, it would be easy to understand. But it's one of those things where there's, obviously networking is huge. And especially in this industry, it's who you know, who you're friends with, who you meet up with. But that only takes you so far. There's also, talent. There's also hard work. There's also being an individual. But at the same time, there's also shooting and photographing and putting work out there that is commercially viable. Meaning, as much as I would love to shoot moody black and whites of, candles burning in a field, that's not going to get me the work that is going to pay my rent. It has to be, you have to sort of stand out by almost like not necessarily standing out too much, which saying it out loud doesn't make much sense. But if you're in a group of, say, 100 photographers and everybody's shooting the same thing, I am not 100% sure. I think it comes down to networking. I think it comes down to having an individual style. It comes down to having a commercially viable body of work that people can look at and say, oh, this is what we want to shoot for our next campaign or whatever it is. And I think that's where I sort of got lost in the beginning was, there's so many different avenues to go down in terms of being a artist or being a photographer or videographer, any of that stuff. And I think when you're starting out, it's so easy to just look and say, well, I want to shoot everything. And I want to shoot, I'm going to shoot fitness and fashion and lifestyle and this and commercial and pharma and everything. And I think the most important decision I made in terms of bringing in, having a good return on what I was putting out there is sticking to, is recognizing strengths and running with those strengths. Like I knew early on that I wasn't going to be shooting like Vogue covers because I had no interest in it prior to picking up a camera. All of a sudden, now that I'm like shooting fashion, you know what I mean? Like it's not one of those things like, oh, all of a sudden I'm interested in like this couture fashion or something like that. But what I was interested in was, lifestyle, surfing and California and all that kind of stuff. So, that lends itself to, it's almost this circular sort of thing where what do I love? What do I love shooting? What's going to bring me in some more work that's going to enable me to shoot more of what I love, sort of thing. So to answer your question, how to stand out, I think it's so many different things. I don't think there's just one way to do it. And how I did it was basically networking and shooting as much as I could and putting out work that I felt was better than my previous work.
Mm.